Hi, I'm Cailey. I'm a librarian at Mentor Public Library.
And I'm Meg, also a librarian here at Mentor Library, and welcome to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg, where each week we give you different book recommendations related to a single theme. This week's theme is teen books that have been made into movies. So whether released through Netflix or on the big screen, we think these are books that you might want to actually read the book of.
Yes, and you know, I actually have a t-shirt that says don't judge a book by its movie. So I'm just going to say the book is almost always better. Almost. Very rare exceptions.
Yeah.
But all of the books that we're going to talk about today are available at the library, whether in physical form or through ebooks on Hoopla and Libby by Overdrive.
Yeah. So Cailey, what's your first book?
So my first one is Dumplin by Julie Murphy.
Okay.
And this book came out a little while ago, but the movie is relatively recent. So this book is about Willow Dean Dixon. Her mom calls her Dumplin. Her friends call her Will. And she started a summer job at the local fast food joint in deep South Texas. And the job has her exposed to some people she's never met before, including Private School Beau. That's what she calls him. His name is Beau, and since he goes to a private school, it's always Private School Beau. Willow is this huge character who has so many opinions on everything, and she gets to know Private School Beau, and she has a bit of a crush on him and is shocked when he likes her back. Because even though she is super confident, she is a self-described fat girl, and she's very comfortable in her skin. She's very confident, and she just knows that she's bigger than her friends. And so she's surprised when Beau actually likes her back, and the two begin a sort of fling, which she finds out that he then doesn't want the world to really know about them. And it kind of makes her question a lot of things about herself. And so she wants to sort of get her confidence back and show the world that even though she's a bigger girl, she is beautiful and vibrant and, you know, worthy. And so she and several of her sort of misfit friends enter a beauty pageant. And it is not a strange world for Will because her mom is actually an ex-beauty queen, but it is a sort of shock to the world around her when she and these other girls who don't quite fit the beauty pageant norm jump into the scene. And they want to show the world that, you know, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes and different personalities and everything. And so it's a really fun sort of body confidence boost type book. And I do love that she adores Dolly Parton. So there's a bunch of Dolly Parton references. There's also a lot of references to some really awesome books. And she's just a very like sassy character. And that's fun. The movie on Netflix actually stars Jennifer Aniston as the mom. And so it's a fun, different take on it.
That sounds really cute. I love not just the character of Willow sounds awesome and fun, but I love beauty pageant, like stuff related to beauty pageant, like Little Miss Sunshine and things like that. I think that's a fun world to just explore. So with a character like Willow, so unique and everything and fun, I think that sounds like a lot of fun. All right. So my next book is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. And so this book came out in 2016. The movie is more recent, came out last year on the big screen. And it follows two NYC teens, which explores the experiences of second-generation immigrants and also the idea of destiny and, let's see if I can pronounce this right, Deus Ex Machina, I believe is how you say it, as it relates to love. So like that idea of destiny or fate coming in at the last moment, you know, to save you in a way. So the two teens are Natasha, who is the daughter of Jamaican immigrants, but they are undocumented and they are actually in threat of being deported back to Jamaica. And Natasha feels a lot of pride in her American identity. So she identifies more as an American than as Jamaican. So she is very invested in, helping her family to stay in America, and going so far as to like go to, the immigration office to plead on her parents' behalf. So she's very invested. And the other character is named Daniel. And Daniel is the son of Korean American immigrants, and they own a black hair care salon. And his parents want Daniel to like fulfill their American dream. They have dreams of him becoming this wealthy doctor, going to this prestigious school. And Daniel is more of a poet who has different dreams for his life. So they're two characters that have different pressures on them. And their paths cross on a subway that's heading toward Grand Central Station. And the subway stops, it comes to a halt in the middle of their journey. And while both Natasha and Daniel are on the subway, the conductor is heard over the intercom telling them to embrace destiny, open your heart to destiny, because he tells the story of how in 2001, on 9/11, his subway got stalled. And if his subway hadn't gotten stalled, his best friend would have died in the 9/11 attacks. So that kind of sets the stage for the rest of the book, where I guess their hearts are kind of open. Natasha and Daniel's hearts are open to destiny. I won't spoil too much what happens, but there's a lot of coincidences that bring them together. One of them saves the other's life, almost from getting hit by a car, and it's just one of those cute romances that there's the one, Natasha kind of doesn't believe in love at first sight. Daniel's a hopeless romantic who's like, I absolutely believe in love at first sight. So it's kind of how they're two people who they both know the immigrant experience, but it's both a little different for each of them. There's actually even some tension between Daniel's parents, kind of telling Natasha, like, we have these hair relaxers that can make your hair less poofy or whatever. And there's some tension between showing tension between different minorities. And that's a little interesting to look at as well. But really at its heart, it's also just this sweet story, kind of in this Fault in Our Stars vein of, hopeless romantic love. So it's a sweet book in that way.
That sounds really cool. I have not read that one or even really heard much about that one, so I'll have to jump into it. Because I love that sort of fate throws you together sort of thing. Jumps in. Well, the next one I have is called To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. You've probably heard of this one.
Yeah, I just love it.
So this is about Laura Jean, who is the middle sister in the Song family. And she is the peacekeeping shy one. And she's not very assertive herself, but she has this habit of writing fake love letters to the boys that she has a crush on, which, by the way, I think is just like the cutest. But this includes her older sister Margot's boyfriend, next door neighbor Josh. So no one is ever supposed to see these letters, obviously, but that's part of why she writes them, because they're just for her. Well, before heading off to college, Margot breaks things off with the next door neighbor, Josh, which causes this little rift between Josh and Laura Jean, because the three of them always used to hang out together. So things are a little bit awkward now, and they're starting a new school year sort of uncertain with one another. Laura Jean is adjusting to this new normal with her sister gone and with her former best friend kind of keeping his distance now. And suddenly somehow her letters are sent out. And that means the letter goes to Josh, as well as several other boys who she probably hasn't thought about in a while, but at one point had a crush on them. Yeah. And obviously this is just a big moment. And basically Laura Jean decides to distract everyone from this and to keep everyone's mind off it. She is going to start a fake relationship with Peter, who was one of the letter recipients. But Peter and Laura Jean are both in a similar situation where they basically want to draw attention away from themselves, or rather to this fake relationship then to this big thing that people find out about. So
Yeah.
he recently had a big breakup, and he doesn't want people to be like staring at him about that. So he's like, yeah, we can have this fake relationship and it'll benefit both of us.
Right.
And so they have this sort of fake relationship going. But of course, you know, the two of them find something more real in their whole acting and things.
Yeah.
And along the whole book, there's this whole sort of tension of Laura Jean being terrified her sister is going to find out that she had a crush on her boyfriend and how her sister would react to that. And so this covers like a ton of topics in this book, which I think is what makes it really cool. It is a biracial family. The family is the girls are half Korean. It's three sisters, and so it has this great sort of display of the sister relationships and how that dynamic evolves and changes. There's the younger sister, Kitty, who causes a lot of mischief. And then there's Laura Jean, who's in the middle, who's like peacekeeping. And then there's Margot, who almost took on the mother role because this book also deals with loss, as the girls lost their mother some time ago. And it covers a lot of ground, it seems, for such a small, lighthearted book. And the book actually does have a few different sequels to it. And the movie was made on Netflix and was very popular and also very adorable. And there is a sequel that came out as well based on the second book. So it's a really sweet read. It covers so much ground as far as this book goes. And it's just an awesome read.
That sounds adorable. I love it. And I always love the couples, not a couple at first, pretending to be a couple, and then something happens. I think that is just
best.
It's the best. So my last book is called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. So this one, the book came out in 2012, and the film came out in 2015 on the big screen. And this is like a good mix of comedy and drama. It's about this boy, so it's from the perspective of 17-year-old Greg Gaines, who's something of a social loner a little bit. He has trouble, like he's afraid of rejection from friends. So even the best friend that he actually has, Earl, he calls a coworker because he's still like afraid to call him actually his friend, like, oh, he's actually my real friend. So he has some social, awkwardness issues. Well, so in this book, Greg's parents tell him about an old childhood friend named Rachel, who has recently been diagnosed with leukemia. And knowing Greg's issues with socialization, they were kind of pressing, or in a word, forcing him to, help and be there for Rachel in her moment of need. So it kind of starts out there, both Rachel and Greg are, not really super into it, but they start talking and reaching out to each other a little bit. And then they gradually grow closer together over these really quirky, I think they're adorable, quirky things, such as Rachel's pillow collection. She has this unique pillow collection that's like really interesting to Greg. And then Greg introduces Rachel to his friend Earl. And Earl and Greg have this like secret hobby or love of filmmaking that they really don't want to share with anyone else because they're afraid like they're too mediocre at making films or whatever, but they kind of draw Rachel into their little world of making films and these funny little vignettes of their life and their friendship together. So, as the story goes on, there's different tensions, surrounding obviously Rachel's illness and how that progresses, and also kind of the peer pressures of school life. So there's kind of some private information that gets leaked out to the school. And then there's kind of some inward blaming amongst the three friends. So kind of like, how does their friendship endure these tests and these issues that are going on in their lives? So and you and I were kind of talking about it earlier. It is refreshing to have a book between people of different genders, and it's not romantic in any way. It's kind of more about friendship. So I think that's really a cute, interesting look, at a book like that. I think it's fun.
Yeah. And I did read that one probably shortly after it came out. And that was what I was thinking about it, is that it's nice to see a book that features like the main characters are two boys and a girl, and it's not a love triangle.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
I love it.
friendship, and yeah, I liked that one. I have not seen the movie though, so I can't say if that's.
Yeah, same here. Well, our phrase, the book is better. So no, we'll see. Yeah, so thank you guys for listening to this week's edition of All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg. We hope you enjoyed this week's. Tune in for next week, and we'll have some adult reads for you. And in the meantime, what's
Happy
the phrase?
reading.
Happy reading. Okay, bye-bye.